Welcome back. Now, Niki Saks is not just an ordinary writer. She's also a powerhouse of inspiration and expertise. As a serial entrepreneur, accomplished writer and wellness coach, she has spent over 4 decades honing her skills and accumulating international qualifications in nutrition, fitness and life skills. In her new book, Hiding in the Open, she uncovers a captivating autobiography, delving into the profound impact of borderline personality disorder and the resilience that it inspires. Niki Saks joins us now virtually to tell us more. A very good morning to you, Niki. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning to you.
A very good morning. Good to have you on the show. First of all, just take us through what borderline personality disorder is for purposes of understanding, why you wrote this book.
Borderline personality disorder is really characterized by very highly emotive behavior, highly impulsive. There is a tendency to have unstable relationships, but really it is a massive fear of abandonment from invalidation and fear of growing up. So it is highly emotive behavior and impulsiveness, which sounds like something that most people could suffer from, but it's actually fine.
And this explanation you just gave, did it also trigger the name of the title, Hiding in the Open?
What triggered the name was that I felt for so much of my life that I was hiding in the open. I was, working hard as a wellness coach and doing modeling and things like that, but it wasn't the true me. The true me was hiding behind closed doors. And so the title came quite easily to me when I decided that I actually didn't want to pretend anymore. I wanted to be out in the open, talking about my mental wellness or my mental issues and becoming part of what was going on outside.
I mean, why did you decide to do that? Why did you decide to share your story with the rest of the world, in particular those suffering from the same condition? And did it give you some sort of solace? Did it give you some sort of healing from this?
Yeah, thank you for asking. It actually did. It's completely liberated my world. I felt that I could be honest for the first time. Living sensitively is about living sensitively in the world with myself, with people, with my children. And it really was a liberating experience to go through the entire process and then still be able to, be a part of society.
How was your home life like just growing up?
My home life was rather traumatic. It was a dysfunctional home. There was violence and abuse. So it was not a very fertile place in which children could grow up. When I was growing up.
Now, in your opinion, Niki, do you think that this condition is natural? Is it hereditary, or is it triggered by your surroundings or your upbringing, as it were?
Again, a good question. With mental illness of any kind, there is a predisposition to it should somebody suffer in your family from a mental illness. There are circumstances and environmental influences which can impact, but inevitably it's learned behavior. So if you are in an environment where somebody in your family, most often a caregiver, suffers from a mental illness, the chances are that you too will suffer, depending if you don't get enough help or support.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the effects of trauma on one's life?
Wow, trauma has a marked effect on the way that people live their lives on a daily basis. It's a way that it can affect the way that they interact with people, their relationships. It can have an impact on jobs and how they kind of hold their jobs down. But more importantly, it's the interpersonal relationship side of any mental illness. I think that a lot of times people suffer in silence, so they don't really open up. And that was part of the intention behind my book, was to get people to start talking about it, more in society.
And I see that you spoke at length about medication. So what is, in your opinion, the importance of medication? And are there any alternatives for those who are not so much into medication?
I think, mental illness comes at a cost, and there are very many people who can't afford medication. And there are some kind of skills that one can learn in order to deal with anxiety or to deal with things that are affecting them. Medication is vital in a lot of instances, and especially if it's with me who suffers a disorder, borderline personality disorder, it's important. But there are some health ways of dealing with it, some over-the-counter things that can help with anxiety, and some health things that people are trying, some essential oils and things that do work. But in my case, and a lot of people that suffer from cluster A, B, or C personality disorders, I need to take medication, and I'm very honest about that.
And I'm actually glad that you touched on the issue of anxiety. Is there a way of managing anxiety? And I'm asking this because so many people go through so much in their lives on a daily basis, be it financial issues, be it relationships or marital problems, or it could possibly be even deep-seated or deep-rooted depression. How can we manage anxiety?
Without medication, it's a lot harder. And some skills that people can learn. There's mindfulness practices where people can kind of assess what's happening in the moment and try and manage that without reacting to life. So it's quite a profound way to deal with anxiety. There was a skill that I learned and spent years working on called dialectical behavioral therapy, which is quite often used for emotional regulation in situations like that. But it is a skill that one has to practice and learn. Mental illness doesn't go away. It just can be arrested. It can be treated effectively with medication and trauma can also be treated on a natural basis with mindfulness and practices like that.
Agreed. I fully agree with you on that. But the problem is the long-standing stigma against mental illness. People are afraid of coming out to even talk about it or even let alone seeking medical help in their own private space. So how can we navigate around the issue of stigma?
I think it's a public health thing. It's something that we should be talking more about and making people more aware of. I think that's largely a cultural issue. People are reluctant to talk about it because they think it's weakness. We also have the issue about, boys don't cry and to be strong and stoic. But yeah, I think that, there has to be more discussion around it. And I'm not talking about a kind of from a wounded point, just from a self-resilient, how to treat people, how to empower them with skills that can literally help them through, a mental illness. So the stigma is something that needs to be broken down. And I would say largely by having discussions, society discussions, making more public health awareness support around that, whether it's through groups or through initiatives. I think it's vital.
All right, Niki, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We certainly hope that so many people will be healed just after reading your book. And where can you get a copy, just briefly?
From Exclusive Books, Take a Lot, Amazon and Kindle. Yeah, and can I show my book?
There we go.
This is hiding.
How cool is that? Thank you so much, Niki.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right, good stuff. There was writer and wellness coach Niki Saks speaking to us about a new book titled Hiding in the Open, a captivating autobiography delving into the profound impact of borderline personality disorder and resilience.